When I tell y'all, God don't miss, I got a story time and a testimony I want to share with y'all. On Sunday when I was at church, a member of the church had given the pastor some money. He wanted to bless some people. He didn't know who to pick, so he just gave the money to the pastor and told the pastor to give it to whoever needed it. So he gave him a few $50 bills, and the pastor announced that anybody who needed some gas, if they really needed some gas, to come up and get the money. So people started coming up who needed the money and get the $50. Well, the guy who had donated the money didn't want to be announced. He wanted it to be anonymous, but the pastor let people know who he was anyway. And he did it because the guy had a business. So his business is a heating and cooling business. So the pastor put his picture up and his business information and said that anybody, if they having problems with their heating and cooling, he knows wintertime, if you having furnace problems, give this guy a call. Kind of basically giving him a plug for his business, blessing him since he was blessing members of the church. So fast forward, my daughter calls me and say, "Ma, it's cold in this house. My furnace not working." So I said, okay, well, we called this one of our friends who normally do our heating and cooling, but he works in other jobs and he was busy, so he didn't come. And my daughter said that they turned the breaker box off, and when they turned the breaker box off, the furnace started working again. So I said, okay, well, don't cancel the appointment with him anyway. Just still, keep it, and then if he come. But he didn't end up coming. The next morning, my daughter called me back again, and she said, "Ma, that the breaker box went off again, so the furnace went off again. So I do need somebody to look at the furnace." I said, okay, well, here, I'm going to send you the number to the guy from the church. Give him a call and have him come out to look at your furnace. So he came out to look at the furnace, and she calls me and she said, "Ma, the furnace guy here, he said he got to turn this furnace off. I need a new furnace because this furnace is leaking carbon monoxide." And the heating and cooling guy asked my daughter, "Had you been having headaches?" And she said, "Yes, I do. I've been having headaches for a couple of days. I've been having headaches." And I'm telling you, y'all, God kept turning that furnace off. Every time she would go down there and hit that switch to turn it back on, it'll run for a little bit, and it kept turning back off. That was God turning it off. So she really do need a new furnace. So I'm like, okay, I know she don't got no money to get no new furnace. So I said, well, let me talk to my husband. I'm going to call you right back. So I talked to my husband. I tell him what's going on. Then we like, well, yeah, she got to have a furnace. It's cold outside. The grandkids in the house, they can't be in the house without no furnace. So he tells me a price and say, yeah, well, since I'm a member of the church, he'll give me a discount or whatever. So we agreed to the price or whatever. And then he sent me an invoice. I put down the deposit, so he'll start working on the furnace the next day. So I say this to tell y'all, God can see things ahead that we cannot see. When I pray at night, my husband and I pray every night before we go to bed. And I always say, God, keep my kids covered in the blood of Jesus. Keep my grandkids covered in the blood of Jesus. And God did just that. Now, what is the coincidence that the pastor just happens to announce this guy who happens to be a heating and cooling guy? My daughter calls me, say her furnace is out. The furnace, she hits the breakers, the breaker make the furnace come back on, but the furnace keep on clicking itself off in the middle of the night. That was God turning that furnace off because he knew that it was leaking carbon monoxide. And he knew that if that furnace continued to run, that my daughter and my grandkids could go to sleep and never wake up. God kept on cutting that furnace off. We get a hold to the guy at church. He comes. He the one discovers that the furnace is leaking the carbon monoxide. And then we get her a new furnace. But before that, God put me in a position to pay off some debt. I paid off a lot of debt, paid off a lot of my credit cards. So God put me in a position financially to be able to help my daughter to get another furnace. You cannot tell me that God does not work miracles. He can see things that we cannot see. He'll put people in position at the right place at the right time. He put that heating and cooling guy in the church, had him want to bless people, had the pastor put his business information, even though he asked to stay anonymous, he put his business information to bless his business. Now the money that the guy gave away to the members, he got that money right back from me from getting a furnace installed. So you people talk about giving money and sowing seeds and doing, but I'm telling you, when you a seed sower and you bless people, God will bless you back tenfold. And me keeping my kids covered in prayers and saying, God, please keep my kids and my grandkids covered in the blood of Jesus. The blood of Jesus was working. He kept cutting that furnace off so that carbon monoxide was not leaking through the house, so that they would not go to sleep and not wake up. Because that would have been so devastating for me and my husband and my family. So y'all keep on praying to God. Keep on asking for discernment. And God will do what he is always promised. He will supply our needs. He will put the right people in the right place at the right time. And I'm so grateful that the pastor put that guy's information up, that we reached out and contacted him, and he came right over right away, looked at that furnace and saw it was leaking carbon monoxide.
Subscribe for more encouraging testimonies.